I'm sitting here doing my own little reading and Bible study. I started reading, what was I starting? I started reading Joshua again yesterday or 2 days ago. And I don't know, I can't remember what led me to get back into Joshua. I mean, I've read multiple of the Bible plenty of times, but each time, like, God will give you more insight and revelation. All you gotta do is seek Him and with a pure heart. But anyway, I was like, all right, what was I getting into Joshua for? I know because I heard a song. It was a song playing. Um, I think of the song leader, but it reminded me. It reminded me of a word that I had when I up and just packed everything. Well, packed nothing and moved from the Philadelphia area to the Houston area. Not even a year ago. It was in August. But before I made that big move leading up to it, like the 2 months leading up to it, it was a very scary ride and everything was uncertain and it looked like my life was it felt like and looked like my life was falling apart. And I was just I just wanted to be sure, if I was doing the right thing. And I kept talking to God, and He kept giving me confirmation, different words and different confirmation through people and things. But one thing that kept ringing loud to me was Joshua 1:9. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That's just one small portion. I mean, the meat and bones before and after that word is still good. It's very good. But anyway, so the song that I heard brought me back to that memory, brought me back to that time almost a year ago. About a year ago, actually, because I didn't actually move here until August, but it was a few months leading up to that where this was going on, and I was hearing that word. And so I decided to revisit that. But right before I turned to Joshua, I read the last little bit of Deuteronomy, which was talking about Moses and how God told him to go up to this mountain and die. Like, He basically told him he was not going to make it into the promised land. And He told him why as well. But He did. God is so good and loving and gracious. He still allowed Moses to see, but he just wasn't allowed to go over. And that just reminded me, like, don't play with God. I had to do some repenting of my own, just ways where I know I've been double-minded or not immediately obedient, which is delayed obedience is still disobedience. And I thought about that, God is so gracious and loving and kind, and He shows His power and His authority, and He comes through strong on our behalf. But you can throw it all away. You can miss the prize if you don't surrender your whole self, your whole being to Him. And that's what the last end of Deuteronomy reminded me of, because God had told Moses, Yeah, it says in Deuteronomy 32:48, it says, Then the Lord spoke to Moses that very same day, saying, Go up this mountain of the Abiram, Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, across from Jericho. He said, View the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel as a possession. Mind you, He didn't say I will give. He said I give, meaning it's already done. He said, and die on the mountain which you ascend, and be gathered to your people, just as Aaron your brother died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people, because you trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin, because you did not hallow me in the midst of the children of Israel. Yet you shall see the land before you, though you shall not go there into the land which I am giving to the children of Israel. So God and His faithfulness, like, also, like, we can't take our life for granted. It's not just our own. And when we belong to the Lord, then we need to fully surrender to the Lord. Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the Lord and his kingdom of righteousness, everything else will be added unto you. That means that his priorities and what is in right standing and his will for our lives should be first and foremost. Everything else is added. So with that being said, even though God used Moses, like he did all of that, through Moses. I'm not going to get through Moses' whole story. If you know, you know. If you don't, open up your word like I do. But anyway, all that from through Moses, he showed signs and wonders through Moses. He spoke to him face to face. He gave him the Ten Commandments. He exerted his power and authority through Moses many, many times, showing signs and wonders. And here it is that he was not able to get to the prize of what all of that work or a lot of that work was for. He was not able to cross over and get to the promised land because of a part of him that was not fully surrendered. That's my take on it, right? Because what did he do? How did he trespass God? Well, first of all, let's get into the word I wrote down some titles. I don't know what I do with my paper. Anyways, he trespassed him, right? When you trespass, you don't go about something the right way, right? You don't follow the rules, all right? So he trespassed them. And then it also says he didn't hallow his name. He didn't reverence him. He didn't show him the utmost respect and reverence. And both of these two offenses were because he did it among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah, Kadesh, and then also because you did not hallow me in the midst of the children of Israel, because of the those who are watching. So it's like how the Bible says, whom much is given, much is required. Okay, God does not just pull us out, walk with us, be patient, loving, kind, faithful with us just for our own badge of honor, just for our own gloat, and just for our own self-preservation or a pleasure or comfort. We have to watch what we do, how we carry ourselves, check ourselves and surrender ourselves to God because people are watching. Now, the children of Israel, if you just read through it, they were like we are today. Let's just keep it real. Very stiff-necked, very stubborn, very idolatrous, so easily distracted and persuaded to go against God, right? And God spoke to Moses directly, gave Moses instructions, showed all these signs and wonders in front of him, right? And these children of Israel saw all of that. They were partakers in seeing that, right? But yet they kept being idolatrous and sinning against God and doing this, that, and other against God. So so the offense seems even greater when Moses, you know better. It's like you know better, and you have basically showed them that it's okay for them to be disrespectful to me, that it's okay for them not to be fully surrendered to me. It's almost like it's a shame that a lot of the older child in the family might take the heavier burden or whatever, more responsibility on them, but it makes sense. It just does. The first of anything is more responsibility riding on you, right? Because you should know better. So, and also because you set the example. I have 5 children, okay? I know my oldest, not just the first oldest, the second oldest, third oldest. I have heard it. Like, I can't just let you be reckless and let you be disobedient and let you do whatever, because everybody under you, beside you, is watching you, and then they're watching how I deal with you. If I am not stern, if I do not correct it, then they are then going to think, let me follow suit, or it's okay for me to follow suit. Not saying that everybody will, but for the majority, that's how it goes. They're going to follow suit with the example. And so God had to make an example with Moses about that part of him that was not fully surrendered, that still acted out of his flesh and frustration, instead of leaning and trusting on God and following his instruction completely to the T after all that he has been through and seen from God. So that's that. But anyway, so that's so I wanted to start in Joshua, but like I said, I started the last part, and that was good for me where I'm going at. Just like where God is taking me, or God is taking many of His people right now, is not the time to keep any pieces to ourselves. We need to fully surrender everything. Fully surrender. That thing that you keep struggling with, that sin that you keep going back to like a dog goes to his vomit, that thought and idea that you keep on brewing on, that you know is outside the will of God. Like, it's not time to play. We got to surrender, because the enemy roams to and fro seeking whom he may devour, right? He comes only but to kill, steal, and destroy. So he does not want any of us to walk in God's will, to give God honor, to live pleasing and acceptable in God's sight. And he definitely don't want us to reap the benefits of doing that, right? So he's going to always try to find an opportune time to what's the word for it? I just lost my thought. I lost my thought. The capitalize, but that's not the word I was looking for. But like to capitalize on our shortcomings or on our faults, like to take advantage of it. And so it was that part of Moses that was not fully surrendered to the Lord, that the enemy used at the most opportune time to trip him up, and use that as an opportune time to take that flaw in Moses and try to get others to follow it, which ultimately will cause them to disobey and dishonor God. So God had to deal with that. So we need to search ourselves, ask the Holy Spirit to search us and reveal to us what it is in us that we really need to surrender. This is a word to myself. I don't want to have gone through everything that I have gone through and seen God's faithfulness and seen him come through for me to just blow it and not, fully walk in his promise to me here on this side of living, because of something I didn't surrender, a weakness I didn't surrender. We got to surrender, because basically none of us are that special that God won't move on. So that's moving on to the next thing, Joshua. Okay, so Moses got to see the promised land. He didn't get to enter it. God shut that down, told him, go ahead up on that hill, look at it, and die on that hill. That's it. You're done with. It's over. Some things we can't come back from. That's a scary thought, but very humbling at the same time.